I'm so excited to have you here today, Danielle. You're so knowledgeable. We've had amazing discussions over the years. One of the reasons that I think people should work with you is if they're really interested in learning about marketing. You do know so much about it, and you take a lot of time to, I think, educate yourself, experiment yourself to really see, like, is the information that I'm giving something that's really going to work? But yeah, for those who don't know of my listeners, can you please introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm so excited to be here because I feel like when entrepreneurial therapist was just becoming a thing, I linked up with you. Like you were, I think, one of the very first people that I actually talked to in the space.
What an honor.
Yeah,
Truly.
and like that's
For
why
me.
I have I have so much respect for you because we were like back in the day, it feels like, when things were like really different in this space, and it has changed a lot, like as you know, in the world of AI and just in the world of Instagram and everything. But for those who don't know me, my name is Danielle Swimm. I'm a therapist. I'm right here in my private practice in Annapolis, Maryland. I have a private pay practice, but I am the founder of Entrepreneurial Therapist. So that is where I work with therapists on mindset, marketing, and systems. I love geeking out on the marketing, as you just mentioned. And really what I started doing was I just started an Instagram account called Entrepreneurial Therapist back in the day, like 2018. It was a while ago. So this was like 8 years ago when I started the account. I wasn't necessarily doing any coaching. And I just showed therapists online like how I was starting my practice, and then people were like, how are you doing this? And so that's how it like naturally turned into a business. And then what ended up happening was I filled my practice. I helped therapists do the same. And then I started a course. I started a mastermind. I started a podcast. Now I do speaking and retreats. And so like each revenue stream, I've also shown and taught, oh, this is how I'm doing that. And I really love teaching therapists about additional revenue streams because I think in our industry, it's still not really talked about or normalized. And there's a lot of clickbait out there around things. But what's cool is, and now I've been doing it, for over 5 years, and I can see like behind the scenes, this is what I do full time now, like what's actually working in the therapy space with courses or in-person retreats, podcasting, these things that I know a lot of your listeners are interested in and are like, is this still working? Does this work for me? And that's what I love to help therapists with. And I love to do it myself because it does change all the time. And you really do have to kind of stay on top of the trends and what's going on.
Hey there, I'm Kristie Plantica, and I'm the founder of Place Digital, a boutique marketing agency for therapists. This is Practice Marketing Insider. Each week, I examine one piece of outdated or overblown marketing advice for therapists and explain why it's inaccurate and what you should be doing instead. Yeah, and that's the myth that we want to bust today, is that digital products or additional streams of revenue, whether it be like in-person workshops or retreats, what have you, those are very much still alive, and it is possible to market those things. And I think what's so special about what you offer is you've done all of this yourself. Like, you are kind of coming up with this as you roll these things out, but also you've worked with many therapists over the years who also offer these sorts of things. So maybe let's go back a couple years ago. What was it like back then? What was working then? And maybe what's different now? Like, what has changed and how you're approaching helping your clients market these things, market them yourself?
Yeah, I mean, 2021, I wish I could relive the course era of 2020 and 2021 because it was fabulous if you were in it. Like, I could launch my course, and I remember I had like a $20,000 course launch, 25,000, and I was like, this is it. Like, this is amazing that you're able to do this on Instagram. And then what has happened is, I've bought courses where I've been burned, other people have. And so it wasn't new and shiny anymore. And so like in 2020, 2021, so this is pandemic era, we saw courses really boom and they were doing really well. And now what we've seen is some of the bigger names, Amy Porterfield, like the queen of courses, has kind of shut down her course, which really got people in the course industry like, our course is still working. And we saw headlines, really, I think it was last year, like courses are dead, courses don't work anymore. Now it's more high ticket, like high-end masterminds, high-end retreats that are doing well. And those are doing well. I will give it that. But I'm also seeing some of the middle tier courses. I happen to have one
And what's
around.
middle tier? Yeah, just so
So
listeners have an understanding.
my middle tier course is just around $1,000. That's
Okay.
what I consider middle tier. And I know other people that have self-paced courses around $500 that don't have any live component to them that can still do well. But I will say it's very population specific. So it depends on your audience, it depends who you serve, it depends how you're launching. So one of the things that I try to really do is I teach what has worked for me, but also what is working for other people, because what has worked for me might not necessarily work for you, depending how long you've been around. I'm B2B, so I'm business to business. So that might not work for, if you're a therapist just serving people struggling with anxiety. My B2B model might not necessarily work for you. So that's why we really got to be careful about what you're doing and how you're doing it. But I do want to give your listeners hope that there are definitely ways that I still see it working. There's a lot that goes into it, but it's still life-changing for a lot of people who get these levers right and pull them at the right time.
I think what was frustrating to me about all of, during the course boom is people kind of sold it as passive, or I'll see different marketing messages about getting private pay clients on autopilot. And it's like, what business isn't work? And I think a lot of times the intentions are wrong, where people think you just create it and then people will come in and just land on your site and be like, oh, yeah, I'll spend $300 today on this person I've never heard of before. So, in your experience with your clients, if you can maybe think of a recent example, how did the creation of that course go? What was the marketing strategy behind it? And maybe let's focus more on the to consumer side of things, since I'm imagining listeners are thinking more about selling to their clients.
Right. So when I do talk to a therapist who is like, I want the passive income, I hear that too, because we get fed that online. So I totally see why it comes up. And I do agree with you. Like, I don't have anything that's like completely passive. It definitely takes my time and energy to refine a funnel, to refine the product. Like, I'm updating modules in my course right now, updating the workflows, everything. So it does take work. But when you're thinking about, let's say you've never had a course before, I wouldn't necessarily come out the gate and call something a course. So what I tend to tell people, and I had a therapist do this who did very well, was she started with group coaching because that is popular right now for therapists to kind of switch to that model. And this way, she's still audience building. So, building an email list, building her social media up, and just taking a very small group of people. So, copy that does really well with that right now is I'm looking for 6 moms who are recovered from an eating disorder and want to work on their body image this summer. Like something very specific and a number of people that you're looking for. My copywriter gave me that template for something and it worked really well for me too. But that template of like 6 or 8 or like a very specific number and sharing that because it seems very exclusive, because it is. So it's not something that's self-paced, because I don't think you've really earned that yet unless you have like this really big audience, which is very unusual to start with. So group coaching, you can charge for it, but you can also build out your curriculum while you're doing the group coaching. So this helps in a lot of ways because you can start to figure out, am I even good at this? Like, do I like to do this? Is it landing with what I'm telling them? It's live, which can sell better. And then you're getting paid to actually create the curriculum while you're doing the group coaching, get good testimonials. And it's just a win-win for you and for the people that you're working with. Then what happens after that first group coaching? They graduate, you get a good feel about what that was like. And then hopefully you have worksheets developed, videos developed, like you start building out things in Kajabi or Teachable, where then we can have an online course. And I have people sometimes run group coaching like 1 to 3 times before we start to make this more what we call evergreen, which is more of like a course format where we actually have material that you can sell. So one therapist did that and then she turned it into a membership. So she decided not to do a course, but to do a membership model, which is a little bit different. And that did do well, where they can just pay monthly to be in. There's like, I think, one live coaching call with her a month, and then other components to the membership, so that she's not just like live launching group coaching programs, 4 or 5 times a year, which is really exhausting to do.
It's a lot of work to
Yeah,
to
it
live
really
launch that
is.
sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's like one model just to give people an idea of what it can look like. But I also will say webinars do continue to do very well. A lot of people don't want to do webinars, which I totally understand. But if you do them, I think they can do well, even for group coaching. So I will tell people, like, are you okay rolling up your sleeves and doing this kind of crazy launch model the first few times where you do live webinar? So an hour of like teaching something so people can get to know you. You make sure they walk away with value and then promo your program towards the end. But then the call to action is apply to the program. So for group coaching, we can do application and then you can do discovery call, and that sells them into the group coaching program where you can build out the course from there.
If you can't tell, I am super, super passionate about accurate, high quality marketing education for therapists in private practice. I am now offering a free 15-minute call for therapists scaling group practices who want my honest opinion on their current marketing situation. I've worked with dozens of group practices, hundreds of solo practitioners, spoken to thousands. I've truly seen it all at this point. So if you'd like to pick my brain for a little while, you can head to practicemarketinginsider.com to book that free 15-minute call if you're a group practice owner scaling your practice. And now back to the show. Yeah, I mean, that I think has just stayed true for years, the webinar model, because it makes sense. I mean, you do want to kind of sample someone's work, especially if they're finding you right from Instagram. So another dimension that I'd love to get your take on, as listeners know, I'm in the SEO, AIO world of things. Like that's what I do. So I don't really help people sell courses or coaching really. Like that's not really what I do, because I find with search engine marketing, that's actually pretty difficult in my experience. It's definitely not where they're going to get more of a return on their investment with me, right? It's like I'm going to help you get clients in your therapy business.
Right.
Do you think that social media is the only way, or is this the way that you've seen it done successfully only? Or have there been other kind of channels that people have pursued, whether it's more, I guess, like email based, but even then it's like, how did you build your email list? So, in your experience, what is the best channel to market these alternative income streams?
Yeah, I think the good news is it's not just Instagram. That's where I started, but I do see, like, there's actually a couple female founders that I know that aren't on Instagram at all that have crossed seven figures doing stuff like this, and they focused on LinkedIn. And so they built a LinkedIn presence, and that's where they built the email list. There's like a whole strategy that I was learning where like you go into the LinkedIn groups and you can like post your stuff there, you can pull email addresses there. My whole goal for wherever you are, let's say it's YouTube, LinkedIn, TikTok, Facebook groups, Instagram, is for you to build your email list because that algorithm doesn't change really at all, but compared to Instagram especially. And then sales statistically are much higher in an email list than any other platform. So if you're like, I hate being on video, therapists can say that sometimes, then I do encourage, like, Substack also came into play. Substack or LinkedIn don't require video in the same way TikTok or Instagram do, same with YouTube. So I think there's just a lot of different avenues now you can go towards how can I build my email list? But we often do, I'd say 98% of the time, need another platform outside of your email list for people to know, like, and trust you, and then get them on your newsletter or whatever that looks like for your email list building strategy.
Yeah, I can totally see it. And yeah, email is so powerful. And I think almost any business model can benefit from email marketing. And I love that you brought up LinkedIn. I myself have become a bit of a LinkedIn girly as
Yay.
of late. What I like about LinkedIn is that if you prefer creating content with writing, the people who take in content on LinkedIn also prefer writing, right? So there's so much less pressure if you just, yeah, it's like you just don't want to get in front of a camera all the time. That's totally fine. Like it
Right.
tires some people out a lot. So I love the idea of also building your list on LinkedIn. And then would you recommend that same kind of funnel then? So like LinkedIn to a webinar sort of thing, or just like, hey, get on my email list and then you like, is it more of like a launch style on LinkedIn or is it more just like audience building on LinkedIn?
On LinkedIn, I would do audience building. And then I like to try to warm them up, like nurture on your email list, and then Let's say you're doing a live webinar, so you would only do that a couple times a year. If it's an evergreen webinar, it's a little bit different. Then you could segment them on your email list and decide at what point do they segment into like your webinar funnel and what that looks like. I've heard the term a lot. You might have heard it like the trust recession. And so people just really need to trust you a lot more now to buy from you. So I lean towards, and therapists are great at this, like nurture for a while before we really come out the gate, even with a free webinar. So that means you're just putting out a lot of like high quality content. And then you can go into, here's my free offer that you could go to.
What I've really enjoyed actually about just kind of like what you just said and the other conversations I've been having is that I think so often the messaging in the therapy marketing industry is talking about like what therapists are bad at. You didn't go to school for this. You don't know how to do Instagram. You don't know how to do SEO. But hearing someone like you say, therapists are great at this.
Yeah.
Therapists are great at nurturing people. I just had a guest on about AI, like the use of AI in a clinical setting. She said, therapists are great critical thinkers. You are great at this. And it's like, it's only talking about like being left behind. Here's what you don't know. But I love the idea of focusing on like, you're actually very well inclined to do marketing ethically and naturally because it's kind of your skill set. I love that. Can you think of any other examples about that where it's like therapists are actually great at marketing, but they don't really think about it that way?
Yeah. I think what scares us as therapists is when we use the word marketing. Like naturally, we are good. Like in the era right now, it's content marketing, which means you're giving away information for free. You are literally putting content out there that you want to help people. We are helpers and healers. So we are good at doing that. Where I think we get scared is the selling process. So I often am not telling a therapist, like, oh, you're selling too much. I'll actually go in and I'll be like, where are you selling at all? You know, like we have to do some selling. We can't just give everything away for free all the time. So I think we lean on that end of the spectrum. But what I want people to think about is you're really good content marketers. Once you get on the right platform where you're like, I genuinely want to help people in what I'm writing on Substack or what I'm writing on LinkedIn or what I'm putting out there on TikTok. And then you do need that business strategy there to make it sustainable about, okay, how are we going to monetize this so that you can continue to scale it and help more people and make sure you're getting paid so you don't burn out along the way too.
It is interesting how, yeah, it just really does stop at kind of the sales side of things, but especially with selling, not direct services, that is a bit of an art in sales. And it's like, you need the buy now button.
Yeah.
It's like you
Right.
can't get out of just having these like basic things in place or it's never going to work. So, yeah, it's definitely something I think therapists have to become comfortable with, especially if you do, yeah, want to put out content on YouTube, want to be on Instagram. That visibility and being like you're a therapist and you are held to these different standards with your ethical boards and your peers, like they're watching you too. There's all that sort of things, but it's like you still have to participate in the world that you're trying to exist in. And I think therapists just have a unique challenge with that.
Yeah, and I think so in my mastermind, this is where I teach all those additional revenue streams. What I see the biggest bottleneck being is that these entrepreneurial therapists have too many ideas and they have too much going on at one time where they can't implement everything that their like brain wants them to do. And so they're doing so much. And I had somebody just graduate from the mastermind who was like trying to do, I think, a webinar a week or something like
Whoa.
really high level. Right.
Yeah.
And I was like, no wonder you're feeling really anxious and scattered. And like, let's really streamline this. I see my role when I'm working with you is like, I'm very protective of your energy because we tend not to be. We overextend, we overhelp. And so you really need somebody to come in that's going to protect your energy so you don't burn out. So we can really position you as a CEO and the creative. But what the problems are, there's too many ideas and there's not enough help. So you haven't hired a VA in time. You haven't hired an OBM in time. There's not much help at home. So you're still doing all the cleaning, the laundry, the cooking, the child raising. And then you're going into work and you have like 7 different roles that you've taken on. And you're like, why is nothing working? you know? And I can honestly say this because I've done it. So I've been there and you can't do it for long. until you really start to drop balls and start to feel really guilty about everything. So, like, I just want your listeners to hear that if you're in that space, you're in good company. Like, I think the most brilliant entrepreneurs have been there, but there's a lot of work to be done too to make sure you're not running the entire show for a prolonged period of time.
Yeah. This is amazing. I mean, what I'm hearing is good content. Get them on your email list, build as you fly it or whatever with like the group coaching, and just make sure you like the platform that you're on.
Yeah.
Like the ones that you're putting out, just make sure that you are enjoying that platform so you can have more sustainability over the long term, because I think you are so right. And this comes down to platform too. If you're too scattered across too many in the beginning, you're probably not going to be very successful on any of them.
Right. Yeah, you're only one person.
Yeah.
So like we just want to like really, Essentialism is one of my favorite books. We just want you to do what's essential and really like have all of your focus on one or two things, and that's where we really start to see the needle move.
Well, I need to read that book. I'll add it to my stack of 10 that I'm working on.
Okay, good.
Which
like
is, essentialism is like, well, don't do that. Worst
Right.
books to start.
Yeah, that's a good message.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you so much for being on. I know that we're at time, but this was so, so helpful. And if people want to learn from you, work with you, where can they find you?
Yeah, so I have my own podcast, the Entrepreneurial Therapist Podcast, where you can check me out. A new episode comes out every Wednesday. I've had Kristie on many, many times. And so you could go listen to me there. And then you can find me on Instagram at Entrepreneurial Therapist.
Amazing. Thank you so, so much. And yeah, I'm excited for everybody to just learn more from you. And that's it for this week's episode. If you want to connect, you can find me on LinkedIn or Instagram at Kristie_PlaceDigital. If you're interested in working with me and my team, you can head over to placedigital.com. I'm Kristie Plantinga. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.